Thank you, Lord Mayor. Well, as you've heard, the People for Profit Alliance will be voting against this budget, contingent on the fact that it is based on the LPT. Notwithstanding that, I want to propose an amendment which relates to the inclusion of a higher and special commercial rate for companies based in the Irish Financial Services Centre. We know that there are about 5,500 brass plate offices and some 2,170 companies that are based in the financial services sector, through which trillions of euro pass through every year by way of not just basically administration and by way of transactions. And we know that the levy exemption has been lifted on these companies, but what we're unable to get clarity on yet is in relation to which of these are actually liable for commercial rates. But as I said, what we do know is that trillions pass through these companies in the financial services centre. Also, that a significant number, if not all of these companies, benefit from the preferential corporation tax rates, particularly.
Just on a point of order, Councillor, that motion is out of order by the law agent. So, I'd prefer if you didn't speak to it.
And why is it out of order, Mayor?
Because it's out of order. I mean, the law agent outlined it.
Lord Mayor, Lord Mayor, that motion is out of order because it calls for an additional form of rate on commercial premises in the IFSC, which isn't provided in law. There's one class of ratepayers across the whole city, and there's no basis for us to distinguish to put different forms or levels of rates on different either areas or types of businesses.
Go ahead, Councillor MacVeigh, if you would.
Well, then I'm slightly confused, because I thought in the response to the question that we asked earlier that a special rate was mentioned for that basically a rate was applied to the companies in the financial services centre once the exemption levy. Okay, so there's no special rate then.
Councillor MacVeigh, in the report that went out, there was mentioned that a long time ago, in the late 80s, early 90s, there was national legislation to provide for a sliding scale of rates, starting low and then getting up to full in the IFSC. Those provisions are gone, and for that to come in again, it would require new national legislation, but it's not a capacity of this chamber to introduce that.
Thanks, Cathy.
Okay, well then is it in the capacity to propose that that be taken up, that national legislation be taken up for the introduction of a special levy on companies in the financial services centre? Yeah? Okay, so can I amend then my proposal so that it be that this Council put it to the Government that special legislation be brought back in? I suppose to emphasise the point that the LPT, the property tax, is a regressive tax that has been used in the first instance to bail out the financial services sector and the banks and the bondholders, then towards the establishment of Irish Water, and now it's replacing rather than adding to the resources that are available to this city, which represents essentially a cut, not just in the budget but also in the services. There's an awful lot of talk about how this budget isn't actually cutting on any services, and when you consider that since 2008 there's been approximately 20% reduction in capital grants to the city, well then there is a de facto cut and a decrease to the budget of the City Council and by default to the services. And what's being proposed by asking for legislation to be changed again and reintroducing the special rates, that it is fair and progressive and provides the city with the opportunity to impose this particular levy on companies that should be making a contribution. And I said it's fair and progressive versus what this budget contains, which is a regressive tax and is wholly contingent on a regressive tax. And just to reiterate the reasons why we're not going to be supporting it. Thank you.